Oh, hi. Um, Let me see. I'm not used to doing the lives on my iPad. Um, so if this is wrong, then sorry. Okay, let's see. Well, anyway, today I just wanted to talk quickly about if you're a creative person, just be creative anyway. I mean, you don't have to make a living at it. It's not easy to make a living as a creative person, regardless of what kind of job you have, regardless of whether you have a job or not. This economy is kind of crazy right now. But anyway, and there's a lot of distractions in the world right now too. A lot of things going on. But I think that 2025 will be a better year for everyone. It's just my gut reaction, gut instinct. Um, Life is not meant to be super easy for everybody. In fact, a lot of people that pretend like their lives are perfect and easy, really it's not, because I've always just been kind of like a working person, whatever, or not working or working, but I have met some very successful people in life, and they have a lot of challenges too. Anyway, if you're a creative person, you do have to really try hard to be creative anyway. And one of my friends has a YouTube channel. She's an artist, and she's done things like as a clown, and she's a performing artist as a clown at her art shows. And I guess she's done, some music and some fun things on stage, growing up, just like we all did. I did a lot of dancing recitals and musicals, and didn't have the courage to actually pursue acting full time until 20 years ago in my 40s. So the first time I moved to LA. So, but I've always had to do other jobs along with it. And if you're a creative person, just do it anyway. Quit worrying about whether you can make money at it. Now, when I joined SAG-AFTRA some years back, about 8 years ago, or maybe it was something like that. I have to go back and see. But anyway, I am restricted as to how much, I can do, as far as I'm really not really allowed to do non-union projects, but there are a number of SAG ultra low budget projects. But then, I could be doing more theater work. See, well, I mean, you still have to audition for all that too, and you have to be the one they pick. And, even if you feel like your acting might have been better, I've certainly spent a lot of money on acting classes and such and worked on it. But basically, um, the thing is you may not look like the character or their idea of that character, or maybe the way you look doesn't fit with the other characters, whether they're, regardless of whether they're casting for film or TV or commercials or theater, so you're up to all these other things, which brings us down to work, more work. I mean, at the end of the day, it could end up being less work, but basically, if we could just finish our scripts, can't we just? I mean, myself included. I mean, it's not easy to write a script and finish it, and then you have to find producers to produce it, and I've never done a GoFunding for anything. I mean, I could, I mean, I've seen a lot of people do that, and, just for my own reasons, but I'm just staying afloat. And, with food prices and everything, it's really tough for me, for the first time in my life, I can't really afford everything that I would like to have. But, I do need to lose a couple pounds, maybe at least 20 pounds or more anyway, maybe 30. And I have lost a little bit with all this going on, but when I just yesterday with my neighbor, I went and got some raw milk just to try it. You have to be in Texas. You have to actually be. The farmers have to sell it direct, and they can only sell if they are licensed with the permit to sell it. But it's very good, and I do feel better with it. I don't have any like asthma or allergy reactions to it. Um, but then I'm on a budget, so maybe I broke down and had a few little things from the dollar store that might have been processed food. but like my friend Angela Shelton recommended, she's a prominent filmmaker, etc., um, and has a program and for healing and everything. And we may do a little project here in the spring here in Waco. But anyway, healing project, kind of a fun thing too. She's done these before, like a little festival revival thing. So, but anyway, it's kind of like entertainment and everything too. But basically, so so she recommends doing that and the grass-fed beef, and it's hard to do all this healthy stuff. It is more expensive sometimes. But then if you cut back on your maybe some of your junk food that's only $1 or something, and sometimes you do have to break down and have that. Or I have sometimes tuna fish and stuff like that. I was recommended to get mackerel, which is cheaper to get in a can. But anyway, these are all things that you have to do when you're struggling as an artist or creative person. But I was going to actually try to figure out how to get Kim on my program today. I may be able to do it later. I don't really, if you could call it a program. Kim is so disciplined. She gets on every morning and either sings with, she's a musician, her husband's a musician. Of course, like most of us, she has to have other jobs and things going on in retail and such. And then she's an artist. She's very talented as an artist. But she's done some performing, and she's asking me about acting, and she's up in Canada, and that would be fun if we both could win the lottery, and then we could fly back and forth and help each other with our projects. But she's a little younger than me, so but who knows? I mean, what the future holds. But back to this thing, we may have to create our own projects. I mean, because even if you get in a project, which I'd love to be, and audition, occasionally do audition for things like a regular SAG-AFTRA project for TV or film, you know, you're only as good as long as that project is going. And sometimes you have to wait till the project is completed to get paid. And most of the roles I've auditioned for are very small roles where I'd only get paid for 1 or 2 days, and in some cases wouldn't be much more than I can make when I've been a cashier or a substitute teacher, or if I can get motivated to sell more insurance again, to get out there and hustle 2 or 3 policies on a commission. So the bottom line, it's not necessarily a lot here, okay? So, but I was kind of trying to semi-retire, but I can't really afford to totally retire. I'm an older single divorced lady, and I'm on my own, and so I have to try to work and supplement my income. But I like to work, and I enjoy acting more than anything. Um, so anyway, so but yeah, maybe later I can get Kim on here and figure out how to do that. There's a way to do it, but I don't know. Let's see here. I may end up goofing this up. Yeah, no, I think I may have to do it on my iPhone instead. Because one day Angela Shelton interviewed me on her channel, and we did it on the iPhone. And she interviewed me and got me live up on her channel, but it was on the iPhone, I think. But anyway, but yeah, if you're a creative person, and Kim and I have talked about this a lot, and I've talked about this with Angela too, although Angela's been pretty successful on and off through the years. It's been a challenge. But basically, the bottom line is, um, if you're a creative person, you just have to do it anyway. I mean, it's not like somebody's telling you have to do. Art kind of chooses the person. The person doesn't just choose to be an artist. Now, some people do say, I want to be rich and famous, and they go out and do something to become. But most people, even if it's somebody who's come up with an invention or a creative invention or something like that, um, the bottom line is somebody like that is wanting to in that process, they may in turn catch the acting bug or the performing bug, the music bug, the art bug, the all the above bug or whatever it is. But for the most part, if you are the type of person that is a creative person, it sort of takes you over and you have to do it regardless. I've read a book by, I think it's Bernard Hiller, I hope it's correct. And that's about right. And it's the same way it's about how acting kind of chooses you versus you choosing acting. And the same thing goes if you're an artist or musician or whatever. So, but you can't get caught up in the fact if you can't make a living at it because, and this is not negative. Some people think, oh, well, why would you say that? Because, but the only people that have questioned it are people that have never been in a creative job or they're not inclined. Like one of my neighbors that was he wouldn't even mind me saying it because he was an accountant in my apartment in Dallas. He asked me, why would you bring that up? Well, the bottom line is I'm trying to just let people know for their own good that if they're young and very talented and they may just immediately make it, but most people have to work a lot at it. And if you're older, it's a little more difficult. But the bottom line is I've spent a lot of money on acting classes and traveling back and forth and everything from LA to Dallas and living out there and here and I live in Waco now, but I've lived in Austin before too. And the thing of it is you have to kind of put a level on how much you've spent. I always had to work other jobs, substitute teaching, background acting, doing the insurance thing on and off, temp office, blah, 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 other jobs even. Last year I even worked a regular job and before I caught the acting bug and all that, I worked small newspapers, never made the big time in that. Back then we had to really just report on the news. We could only put our opinions on the editorial page. And we all took turns writing editorials and such at different small papers. It was never the big time, just small newspapers. And we had to do everything, take pictures and write the headlines and put the stories up on paste boards. And we did back then, it was a little bit different. Right before we did have word processors and things like that, but it was just right before the digital age when everything is like now they do the same thing digitally, and then of course we read all our stuff digitally now. We don't like just get well. Some people still get their newspapers and magazines. In fact, I've got way too many magazines and paperback books here. I'm still trying to declutter because I'm only in 450 square feet. I mean, I had to really make some sacrifices, and actually, it was probably because I just sort of tuned into my creativity more, and the way I was raised was, I was also raised in the mindset that it's difficult to make money more as a creative person. It was never my frame of reference. My parents had a little electrical engineering business, sales, manufacturing rep business, and my grandmother worked for them too, and I was just never raised with that kind of. My grandfather was retired military, and then he did a lot of artwork and baked cakes and was very creative with all that stuff. Very, very, they were very artistic. He's a very artistic person, but he was doing it more as a hobby. Different hobbies he had. But apparently, my dad used to play the banjo, but then gave it up because of work and to sell it and everything. So, but you just do it anyway. That's the thing. You just have to do it anyway. You just make yourself, because if you don't, you'll get unhappy. And I mean, there's a lot that you may not be happy about anyway. But it does really. It's an outlet and it's something you enjoy doing. So I'm working on some things. I might try to get some. To do some scenes with me too, and have people on our shows with us, on and off. We may invite each other to be on our shows. So But yeah, that's all. You know, there's local theater and student films. You can always get involved in student films at your local colleges and things like that, or just do reading on your own. I mean, I took a number of acting classes. They said, you know, just get up every day and practice your scripts. And you maybe, but you can write your own material is always a good way and create your own projects. But it's not easy. Now, Stage 32 is a good source for that, to meet a lot of people doing that. You can put your videos up on Vimeo or here on YouTube. You can get an Actors Access page. And if you want to submit yourself, I think it's gone up. It was $10 a month, maybe it's, but you can submit to projects without an agent. And then later on, maybe you can get a commercial agent. Just remember that the agents work on a strictly commission, and depending on how many clients they have, they only make money if you book something. And depending on the size of the project, if you do get into auditioning for some projects, sometimes they're looking at a lot of people. In fact, sometimes for those small 2 or 3 liners on television, the ones where they just come in and here's the report, blah blah blah, or you need to call this person right now, and then they're done for the day. Okay, after that type of thing, and then the series regulars are on. A lot of those roles, they actually audition. Well, they receive about 5,000, around 5,000 or so submissions through agents, lots of agents all over the country, all over the world, and people directly submitting themselves. You know, they submit their resume and all their other acting clips. So you've got to have some acting clips up. You've got to have a good person for this is Wendy Wright. She does a good class on all this stuff, getting your all your materials correct. But you do need to spend the first year or two back in 2003, 2004, 2005. I went to a lot of acting classes, as many as I could in LA. And the rest of the time, I was either working on set as an extra, making money, or substitute teaching, or temp office, or, you know. And I was still in my 40s, I guess, going into whatever. So the thing of it is you're basically just trying to do as much as you can to improve your skills. But ultimately, you can, at that point, you can start auditioning for student projects and maybe a little theater if you have time. A lot of times theater doesn't pay, but it is a great experience to learn how to get into character. And a lot of times you can audition and maybe even book a part without even any acting classes. And it's free training, and for, you know, like if you want to try to make money at it later. But you get a lot of rewards out of acting. And so anyway, quit worrying about whether you make money at it or not. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It's hard because we see these top people, but once again, these are only 3 to 5% of the entire people who are performing. Okay, so it's a very small percentage, and so, you know, and it's a lot of it's about networking, being in the right place at the right time. You know, even though you can audition from anywhere now and live anywhere now, you know, sometimes it does help to know people in LA or New York or Chicago or Atlanta or one of the hub cities. They're doing a little more down in Austin now and Albuquerque, and you know, occasionally out towards, well, of course, New Orleans, or Louisiana, and Southeast. But uh, they do a few things up in Dallas sometimes. And, you know, over the years, they've done different things all over the country and up in the East, and, you know, and even out towards North Carolina occasionally, or and then of course they're doing a lot more in London, and then they're doing a lot more in Canada again. But you know, the majority of actors anyway have another job or business. Now, people that know how to do all the other things are also often actors, also. Okay, we're talking about people who work even in casting or directing, writing, working in studios. Um, they may even just have administrative jobs, and they've all got their scripts, you know, in the works to hand to somebody. A lot of baristas and people that work like at Starbucks and different places in LA are always pulling out their headshot resume. And I know Mark Ruffalo, who I was fortunate to meet one time, he was telling how of course, he had to go on like 600 something auditions before he finally started booking some better roles or any roles at one point. But he was also bartender, and I believe it was in West Hollywood someplace. And it might have been Silver Spoons, but I'm not sure. It might have been another place. I think two or three different places he worked at, I think. And then he did a lot of theater there. And but anyway, he was often pulling out his headshot resume to pass to people, according to what I was hearing. And I did meet him once in person, and it was very interesting. And he and his wife had to go home to see the babysitter, so they gave me their wine. They're really nice. So, but they were in the same. He was in the same acting class that I was in. Well, actually, not the same class. He had studied with the same teacher previously, Joanne Linville, whose son is also um, an actor, who was in on Golden Pond, and his father directed that movie too. But anyway, I think I've gone through all that before too. So anyway, well, I might cut it short right now and come back and see if I can get somebody on here today, or if not, another day. And so I guess I'll talk to you later then. Thank you so much. Okay, so how do maybe I can share it. So let me see about, I guess I'll try to, what is, what does this do? Oh, okay. Yes, I guess I'll end. Okay, are you sure you want to stop streaming? Well, I can figure that out. Like I said, the iPad thing is so different than like the iPhone, and then the computer. It's all different. So I'll come back on later, and hope you guys have a great day. And the news is pretty overwhelming. Um, that's a whole nother ball of wax. But anyway, so okay, so it's pretty. Hollywood can be a little bit of a scary place, but anyway, I guess I'll talk to you later. Okay, bye. Is that you on YouTube? I guess maybe. No, I guess I have to end it. Okay.